Well, hey everyone, this is James from Mad River Homestead here in Southwest Ohio. Have you ever had really good maple syrup? I was always a Aunt Jemima or Ms. Butterworth's eater, but once I tasted maple syrup, I absolutely loved it. Well, we have maple trees on our property today, so I'm going to show you how, if you have a maple tree, even one, if you have two or three or more, even better. But even with one maple tree, how you'll be able to make your own maple syrup. And it's actually a pretty simple process. To collect the sap, you're going to need receptacles. We use 5-gallon buckets that we get at our local farm and feed store. They need to be food grade. You'll need spiles. We use 2 different kinds. These are what you tap into the tree for the sap to come out. Show you those a little bit later. The season for tapping maple trees is usually sometime between February and April, depending on what area you live in. You need days that are getting above freezing with nights that are below freezing. You can see here we had kind of a smaller window, about 3 days that were really good for tapping our trees. There are a lot of different maple trees that you can tap. For the most part, ours are sugar maple with a couple of red maples as well. You want the trees to be at least 10 inches in diameter. A 10-inch tree can take 1 tap, and for every 5 inches after that, you can add another tap. So for instance, a tree that's 20 inches in diameter could take up to 3 taps. When you're tapping your hole, you want it to be about 3.5 to 4 feet above ground level. And it's best if it's right under a branch or right above a root. You go about 1.5 inches or so into it, and immediately you'll see the sap start to come out. Put your tap in and then hang your bucket. You can see I put a hole in the side of the bucket so it'll fit onto this particular tap. Then I put a screw across the 2 holes. That'll hold the bucket to the tree. You also want to make sure that you put a lid over it just to keep any rain or snow or other debris out. This is the other type of spile that we use. With this one, you tap it into the tree and then you put a hose on the end of it. That hose is going to go down into a bucket. I just drill a small hole in the top of the bucket to let that hose go through. Now, if you have tapped a tree in the past, you want to make sure that you don't tap that same hole. You want to go over 3 or 4 inches and then either up or down a couple of inches as well. It's been about 45 minutes since we started this. This was the first one that we tapped. Let's just kind of see what's going on. You can see there's already quite a bit of liquid in there, and it's dripping steadily. All right, so it's been about 26, 27 hours since we set these things up. So I'm gonna go ahead and dump whatever's in these buckets into a different bucket. The first day was our biggest yield by far. I was really hoping for more on the second couple of days, but we ended up getting a total of about 17 gallons over the 3 days. Also, we only tapped 6 trees total. In the future, I'll probably do more. So the first 3 buckets got a little bit more than the second 3 buckets. Although I did take enough out this morning to make about a 20-ounce coffee pour over. I had heard about that, so I wanted to try it, and it was actually really good. So I'd say we have at least 9 gallons so far. We have 2 more good days of collecting, so I'd say we'll get at least 20 gallons. I wanted to get at least 20 gallons, and we're already almost halfway there. Now, if you're collecting a lot of sap, you can start boiling your sap when you get about 5 gallons collected. Since we just got a total of 16, 17 gallons, we just waited until we had it all collected. You could do this over a wood fire, but my preference is over a propane burner. Traditionally, people will boil their sap in large, wide pans, more exposure to the heat, so quicker evaporation. I don't have those, so we just use the large pots. Once it starts boiling, just adjust your temperature so you can just keep that rolling boil going. And as it goes down, you could just continually add more sap. I have evaporated about 8 gallons, maybe 7 gallons of sap so far. And you can see the difference in the color of it. It's getting to be that more amber color. Now, depending on where you're located, your sap should start boiling right around 212 degrees. I think something was wrong with my thermometer because it was showing at 211 degrees. But it's really neat as it gets lower and lower how much more it starts to take on that amber color. Now it started getting a little bit late, so I decided to knock it off for the night. And you can do that. You can let it rest and you can just bring it right back up to a boil when you're ready to go again. So that's what I did the next morning. So now you can see we are down to 1 pot and it has taken on a very nice color. When we first started, the sap was boiling at 211.5 degrees. We're going to see now what the temperature is of boiling. It's now boiling at 212.5 degrees. Once the temperature for boiling is at around 216, I will strain it through a paper filter. We will finish the process inside. When it is about 7.5 degrees above the original boiling point, that's when we will have syrup. So right around 216 degrees, I filtered the syrup through a paper filter, and this is just going to remove any debris that might be in the syrup. Now, rather than finishing it inside the house, I decided to do it on my old camp stove out in the garage, and this will keep any stickiness from getting on the walls in the house. Another reason for finishing it on the stove is you can tweak the temperature a little bit easier. I want to bring it back up to that boiling point, and you're going to see that the temperature will go up steadily and a little bit quicker as you get closer. And it can start to boil over. You just want to make sure you reduce that heat. Once the syrup reaches a boiling temperature of 220 degrees, I will filter it through this cloth filter into the pan below. You have to really watch it closely when it gets to this point. The temperature goes up very fast. And we're there. As soon as it hits that temperature, pour it through this cloth filter. This will help to remove any impurities that might make the syrup cloudy. And it will take a bit to get those last few drops out. And we like to put ours in mason jars, and you can these. We just put them in the mason jars, close the lid. Some of them will actually seal on their own if you do it while it's really hot. Either way, they're going to keep for quite a while on your shelf. Thank you for watching, and God bless you and your family.